Hello and welcome to the final journal entry for this Texas Tech class. Today the main topics I will be talking about involves show, don't tell, and rewriting your screenplay. Now the general importance of these, starting with show, don't tell, it's very important with how you're going to put your film out there and um, how it translates to some people. While rewriting, it's a very big part in your screenwriting process. It's the end of the road. It's everything you need to ensure is done right. And the general impressions of the film that I picked for this, yet again, it follows these rules very well. It does a great job of kind of bringing you in to um, what the points are and how they generally work. So I think it was a pretty good idea for me to pick this movie and to see the greatness that goes with it. So the main topics and definitions for the first one, show, don't tell. In screenwriting, essentially what show, don't tell means is you show visually, you show your audience the story. Not everything has to be exposition. Not everything has to be told through your mouth. You can see it visually on screen of what's going from A to B to C. And most films nowadays tend to do that a little bit more. Nowadays, though, films tend to use a little bit more dialogue, like Martin Scorsese and Quentin Tarantino. All their films are about dialogue, but they never forget to show the audience what's going on. And then so when it leads to the actual film, you get the messages and what they're trying to tell. And for rewriting essentially is when you're done with your first screenplay, your first script. It's always a good idea to go back and take some things out, put some new ones in. Essentially, you're changing up the script so that it can be better, so that people can understand it a little bit more, and it really helps and changes the way your story goes. Now, the purpose of these, it's to really make your movie better. Show, don't tell essentially helps you combine the pieces of your story and make it work very, very well. And for rewriting, every film has to go through rewriting. So whether it's a Marvel film or just your latest, yet again, Quentin Tarantino film, they always have to do rewrites so that they can make it better, so that they can add a little bit more time to it, so they can take some things out, put some new things in, and it really helps with the creative process in that regard. And it really does a wonderful job in doing so. And anybody can recognize these mainly just from when you're watching the movie. If a movie takes the time to visually show you the spectacles of what's going on from point A to point B to point C, it's doing its job. With rewriting, it's a little bit hard, but usually if plot lines kind of appear but they don't go anywhere, that could be part of a reshoot. If, let's say, a character or something has a change in a character from where we last saw them, rewriting them into being better people. So you can tell it's with rewriting, it's a little bit challenging, but with show, don't tell, it's very, very evident on how they can make that work and how anybody can really recognize it. And there's really a lot of advantages of that. Advantages of show, don't tell. It really helps your film, be a little bit better, be a little bit more creative. Whereas the disadvantage of it is that, people still are confused. There are still people out there who are confused about, like, at least give me a little bit exposition for, people who generally aren't in that position to understand what movies can really go about. And for rewriting, the advantages are you can add more for your script. You can make it better. You can take some things in that you want or take some things out that you don't need. However, a disadvantage is that it could change your movie entirely. So it's better to focus solely. The best strategy for a writer is that when you do rewriting, is you make sure you keep the core story the same. And if you have to make some changes, that's fine. Just make sure it goes seamlessly with the rest of the picture. As well as show, don't tell. Whereas with that one, try and make sure it works with the movie you're trying to tell. Whereas, like, instead of, just making it look cool, although that is one thing, and just make sure that people are getting enough information about what's going on. And so the film that I picked is called 3 Iron, made in 2004. It's basically about a young drifter who kind of goes in between places, and he falls in love with an abused housewife. And the film presents the theory that show, don't tell. it does a very good job of laying down how this guy lives, how you see what he's doing, and the build up to where he meets this lady. And with rewriting it, I couldn't really tell the rewriting parts of it, but I have read that according to the director, there was some elements he had to change because it seemed to, as he put in his own words, perversive. But the movie really succeeds in having those changes be made so that you can understand this guy, you can understand where he's coming from and his characteristics. And really, the movie doesn't do anything bad with those. I'd say that really the main complaint is that they do a little bit too much of showing you instead of, trying to understand with words how some of these things work. But it's just a little nitpick, and it really doesn't change it for the worse. So I think the best elements really are how you can see the rewriting has changed a lot for it, and how visually they show you the story a little bit more than tell, but it's not that bad. So using these theories in your writing process, it's very important. You have to be evident of it as soon as you're done with the script. You need to learn to take out what you need and don't need, put in what you want and think is right for the story, as well as visually have some time to where you can breathe, look around, make it feel right. And learning from this film regarding being a writer is these things don't have to fundamentally change everything about the film, but it is wise to kind of put them in the back of your mind. And the connections I really find with this work and other films is like Marvel movies yet again. They're changing the script so that it seems a little bit more fluent. Even they said that future films are going to be changed because the pandemic kind of set some things apart, so you have to change it so that you can get your ideals in motion. And the insights to this theory is that they're really good and they really do show a lot of how these films can work. So to summarize, show, don't tell, show the audience what's going on instead of really talking a lot. But at the same time, you need that talkative side so that you can understand for other average audience what's going on and it works. And rewriting is very important. Make sure it keeps with the fundamental story of what's going on. And personally, I think that these are two very wonderful pieces of topics to end off this series on. My citations are Eisner P. for Show Don't Tell Visual Screenwriting, People's Q, taking the script to the next level, and Epps J. Screenwriting is Rewriting. I had a magnificent time making these videos, and I hope they helped some of y'all out there with how you're going to do screenplays in the future. My name is Justin, and hope one day I talk to y'all again. Peace, and have a good day.